In this lecture, we will discuss the concept of racial prejudice. Prejudice involves bias as expressed through negative or positive opinions, beliefs, or feelings about people who belong to a group or fit into a particular category. Here's an example of a prejudice that I hold, and I swear I'm working on it. Right? I have the belief that people from Utah are very, very bad drivers. Now, a prejudice has the following elements. It is negative. It is an inflexible generalization that is based on faulty and incomplete data, and it is based on a stereotype or a rigid, inaccurate preconception about members of a group. So let's look at my prejudice against drivers from Utah. I almost had a couple of accidents on different trips to Utah. Both times, somebody tried to merge without looking and almost hit my car. Very irritating, right? Now, I've driven in Utah a number of times without incident, and it's clear that the majority of drivers in Utah are okay drivers, and that my feeling is based on my interactions with two people. And because there are more people on the roads in Utah, right, there's going to be more chances for running into a driver who has basically ripped off their rearview mirror, ripped off their side mirror, and said, screw it, I'm going to do what I want. Right? However, right, I know all this logically, but it is very difficult to change my mind. Right now, my prejudice against drivers from Utah is probably not a really big deal. It doesn't affect anyone's life if I drive more defensively around people from Utah. However, if I was a police officer and I preferentially ticketed drivers from Utah, that would be a problem. Right? If I ran a trucking business and I refused to hire people from Utah based upon my prejudice, that would be a problem. The issue here is about power. Racial prejudice is a bias that is expressed through negative or positive opinions, beliefs, and/or feelings towards people based upon their skin color. We can have positive prejudices. For example, there's a common belief that people who are Asian are naturally good at math and science. Then, if you were a teacher in a high school, you might give students who are Asian access to more resources because you think that they're good at math or science. And that may be helpful to those students. However, if you're ignoring other students and not assisting them, right, that's going to be harmful to the other students. We can also have negative stereotypes. For example, the false belief that people who are Black or African American are innately violent. Or we could have the belief that women are hyper-emotional, right, and aren't suited to work as doctors or police officers. We all have prejudices, and we use these prejudices as heuristics to quickly interpret our social world. And we learn these prejudices through the process of socialization. And these prejudices are often used to make us feel better about ourselves or our particular group in relationship to other individuals and groups. For example, when I see a driver from Utah, I feel a little tiny bit of superiority, right? I can drive better than that person. Now, when we act on these stereotypes, that becomes discrimination. For example, if I was to look at my students and give people from Utah bad grades, that would be a straight up example of discrimination. Prejudice can be directed towards people on the basis of a number of characteristics. So in this slide, we're looking at racial prejudice, but it can also be directed at people based on gender, sexuality, disability, nationality. Right? These all can shape the ways in which we view people and how we respond to them. And prejudice can also become incorporated in our social structures.